Hey everybody, what's going on? And welcome to the Creators Lounge, episode number 3. Pretty excited about today, as I've always been every week excited about what's going on. My name is Claudio Zavala Jr. I'm the host for Creators Lounge. And what is the Creators Lounge? Just a space for chats about creativity and talking about the whole creative process, whether it's with music, whether it's with art, whether it's with education, film, making cabinets, anything that has to do with creating. So if you haven't done so, subscribe to the channel, hit that little subscribe button, and then don't forget to turn on notifications so you'll see future videos like this live show as well as other videos that I share. And so I'm pretty pumped about today's show. I have a special guest. As every week I say special guest, but every week they are special. And I actually met our guest at a open mic venue here in Fort Worth. I was actually there with a buddy of mine who's a guitarist, and he wanted me to help him do some background percussion play with a cajon. It's a little box you sit on and play kind of a drum beat. And so during that show, my guest was performing 2 songs, and immediately I said, man, this guy, let me just say, if you've ever been to an open mic place, and I'm not trying to diss on anyone, but there's some folks that are amazing singers, and there's some folks that are up there just having a fun time, and they're brave enough to get up there and not have the chops to do it, but they get up there and do it. Well, my next guest, he's got the chops. His voice was amazing. His songs were amazing. So when I heard him, I was like, dude, I got to connect with him. So we started chatting, and long story short, he is here and actually pretty pumped, because if you've seen right here on the screen, I'm actually sharing a song from his first album, and which I actually got to be a part of on a live show for it. He just released his second album. So if you haven't done so, go check it out. My special guest, my friend, BENCJONES. I'm gonna welcome him to the show. BENCJONES, what's happening, man?
Hey, what's up, Claudio? It's great to be here. I'm so pumped up that you invited me to be part of this.
Oh, I'm pumped. And as I'm watching the stream over here on the left, so far so good. Because last week I'd had some technical difficulties with the stream, and so far, keep our fingers crossed, and it's looking good.
Good.
So.
Yeah.
But
well, if it does freeze up, I hope they stick around and at least listen.
Yeah, because you want to stick around, because there's going to be a special treat at the end of the show. I did post about it on Instagram. We're going to be talking about music, talking about the creative process, writing songs, and actually going to have a live performance. So you want to stick around, even if the video cuts out, the audio is going to be there. So pretty pumped. Hey man, so how are you doing?
I'm doing okay. I don't have COVID, so that's good.
I'm glad.
But yeah, the quarantine is starting to wear me down a little bit. It's been about 2 months now, and so I understand why people want to get. You can't really ask much more than that.
I know, man. It's interesting. It's fortunate. Every state is different. We've been able to actually, here in Texas, we've been able to get out and still practice social distancing, but since the start, I've actually gone out and rode my bike, and obviously I'm by myself and nobody with me, but I think if I were stuck indoors, I probably would have gone crazy. So I'm fortunate that I've been able to get out and do some stuff. Well, hey, let the folks know a little bit more about you, and kind of tell us who you are and stuff. So a little bio.
Yeah. So guys, I'm BENCJONES. And I am the self-proclaimed Fort Worth rocker, although there's plenty of Fort Worth rocking people out there. And I'm relatively new on the Fort Worth scene, even though I'm from Fort Worth. I took a long break with music, but I've always liked to record songs and write songs, and it's one of my hobbies. I just like to do it. It just being creative. It just helps me out with stress, and it's fun. And anyways, I started to amass these songs over the last couple of years, and they sounded like radio quality songs, rock songs. And so I put them together, and I put out my first album last year. As Claudio showed you guys, Just One Gun came out June 2nd. There's a couple music videos that you guys can check out. BENCJ Jones, if you go to YouTube, it's all one word. And yeah, so I feel like I hit the ground running because I'm putting out albums, to try to get people to pay attention and to turn some heads. And last year was such an amazing year. I came across so many people who were so supportive, and because it's scary when you put yourself out there with being creative, and you're kind of exposing your heart and stuff and your soul, and I came across so many positive people, like yourself, over at Shipping and Receiving that one night. You're like, dude, you were awesome. And sometimes I bring it, sometimes I don't. But I try to be, in the moment every time that I do it. And I guess in that particular moment with you, I definitely made an impression. But yeah, so many awesome people. A lot of the radio stations in the Dallas-Fort Worth area. The write-up that I got with the Fort Worth Weekly, and people hearing this stuff, contacting me, wanting to work with me. So it's just been really awesome. But yeah, so I am a rocking guy. That's the
and that is 100% sure, man. You mentioned that Shipping and Receiving where we met, and yeah, definitely. My wife really gets on me because I'm very picky about the singers that I listen to and play with, and when I hear individuals, and the most part when individuals say, "Oh, I'm a singer," and then you hear them and like, I don't know. My dad was a singer. I grew up in the house with music all the time, and so I guess my ear is attuned to like a pitch. So when I hear singers and if they're on tune, if they're on the right key and the right pitch, and sometimes when I'm listening to something, they're like, oh, that didn't sound, it's just a weird thing. But the thing with you, like you were there, I was like, holy cow, man, it's like, oh, I like that. That is good. That's awesome. And so. It's one of the things you said is when you were talking about the vulnerability of putting your stuff out there, putting yourself out there, whether it's with music or anything else, is that risk that you take, and going up there on an open mic by yourself, not having some backup singers and backup musicians, and it's just you and the crowd. And some may be a little bit inebriated or some are not, but either way, you're there, and man, you just like you knocked it out of the park, man. That was just like solid stuff. And so I was like, man, I have to have you on the show and talk about this, man. Talk about the whole process, man. So speaking of like, where we're talking about like meeting up, and we talked about COVID a little bit earlier, and I don't want the show to be about COVID, but it's obvious, it's what the huge elephant in the room. But so afterwards, after that show, I've connected with BENCJ Jones, and he's like, hey man, if you need someone to back you up with some stuff, drummer for a live show, man, let me know. And some time passed on. I was like, hey, we're gonna do a show. So we had some rehearsals. We had an amazing bass player. I just call him Sosation because that's what he's called on that's what his handle is. So amazing bass player, Sosation. And man, so we rehearsed I forget how many times, and man, with the live, it was crazy though, because that show, like, it rained, and like a lot of people ended up coming out because of the rain. But it was kind of like a bummer in that sense, but at the same time, it's like, man, like they say, the show must go on. And dude, it was an amazing show, and even with my kick drum floating all over the stage and not being taped down, but that was a funny experience. Which is not my first time, but then we were get ready to. In fact, you came over to the house, and we had a little that week, and then it must have been the Sunday of spring break for us here, and then all of a sudden it's closed. Everything's like shut down, and we're like, dude, I think it's like tomorrow is exactly a month that we were supposed to be doing your second album live show. April 14th, was it?
Oh wow.
What's today? 13th.
So I've already forgotten. It's just depressing that we couldn't play that show.
Oh man.
Yeah, and this is one of those things where it's like I want to feel like bad about it, like, oh, I really want to play that show, but then at the same time, you got people out there that don't have jobs, who don't have food, that don't have any money, who have family members dying, and then I'm like, dude, don't, I know you want to, dude, it could be so much work.
Yeah.
So it's one of those deals where I was just like, you know what, I'm just gonna just take a break and just take some time off of social media and just chill out for a little while.
Yeah.
And this is really the first thing that's kind of brought me back, is you asking me, which is good because people are slowly starting to kind of try to make a new normal. And I should make that attempt too. But yeah, the first show that we did was over at the Post, which is a great venue, and so I thank them for letting me play that show there on that night. And so you think about the fact that it rained. It was cold. It was like the first cold rain that had swept across, and that kept people away. Yeah. And then this show, the other show that we were supposed to do for First to Get Your Money album, that got canceled. So the full band, the track record so far is that whenever we try to get something going, there's going to be some sort of like natural disaster.
So maybe it wasn't.
Pandemic that
maybe we shouldn't.
Through.
Maybe we shouldn't do it. Well, we're getting together live. It's crazy. It's funny that you say it that way. It's like, yeah, what will be those Godzilla will come next time or something.
No,
like
well,
that.
you know what it is. They're good. They're good stories.
Yeah.
And
no, they definitely.
You got to have the hardship.
The growing pains.
Nothing's easy.
The growing pains of musicians and getting together with bands. So, and so talking about the second show and the song, I've heard all the songs because I've rehearsed them, so I know the songs. And one of the things about playing music and for myself is you can be in certain, you can play with musicians, you can play with bands that a lot of songs start the same, sound the same, repetitive, and as a musician, like a creative person too, you sometimes can get to where it could be a dull drum and you'd be like, I'm not enjoying this, and you want to have fun. So with Ben's music, it's like, man, this stuff is like, it's very, the songs are, they're the same, but they're not, it's like the genre is like unique, and I enjoy it and love playing the songs. And so talking about, myself and being a drummer, the joke is drummers aren't musicians, but but being a drummer, I approach music different. I do listen to songs, and whatever the band leader, in your case, in Ben's case, it's like, how much do you want to sound like the album? Do you want to be a little more freedom on certain things? And yeah, it was cool. You're like, man, that sounds good. I like that. Push it this way, that way. And that it gives me the ability to be creative live. But it's, as far as talking about the creativity and putting together the creative process of putting a song together, your process, and how you go about putting a song. Maybe you can pick one song or all the songs. What's your process when you're putting a song together?
Yeah, that's a great question. It's different for a lot of people, and I've had conversations with people, over at the open mic scenes, and I've asked them how they do it. And so it's everyone, there's several different approaches. The way that I like to kind of come up with my music is, I'm really melody driven. So I want to hear what sounds good, what's a really cool melody. And usually I will, once I have the melody, I might take my phone and record the melody. Or if I'm at home, I'll just go straight to the computer and pull up my program that I use, Reason.
So
And I'll record the melody.
when you say
at some point it gets.
sorry to interrupt. When you say melody, are you
I'll
talking?
sing.
Just sing it. Okay. Cool.
Yeah, I'll sing the melody. I'll be like da da da, you know, do 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 do.
Got it.
And then once I have that basic part there, well, you know, I have my melody. I come up with the tempo. So I got to get the tempo first. Then I sing the melody, and then I'll start to build like some cheesy electronic drum machine on it, just so I can have something that's there.
Mm-hmm.
And then I'll start to like add stuff to it, guitars, the bass, the keyboard. And then all the time, you know, probably the toughest part for me is the lyrics. So as I'm listening to the songs, I'm putting it together, I'm thinking to myself, you know, I start, you know, humming stuff and just kind of making, you know, these noises that go along with the music, and eventually they turn into words, and then so now I have lyrics and stuff. But the lyrics usually come last. The first part is get the first part of the song, the song structure with the melody, and then here's gonna be a verse, then a chorus, and another verse, and another chorus, and maybe like a guitar solo and an outro chorus. And you know what? It's so weird because I'll be driving in my car, or I'll be in the shower, and that's when I get some of my best ideas. And then I'm like, I have to rush out and grab my phone, and you know, or whatever, just to make sure that I don't forget it. Because if you don't do that, you will forget it. Unfortunately, I've had ideas. I'm like, oh, and then I just completely forget the idea if I don't record it. And so when I'm putting together these songs, I'm writing songs and recording at the same time. So when I'm finished, I have song, you know, another album, and it takes a while, because as you're putting together like the instruments and stuff, you're taking, you know, bad versions out and you're redoing versions, putting new versions in. You know, you're taking the bad drum machine stuff out and you're working with people and you're putting like real drum tracks in and stuff like that. But to do that, like I said, I end up with like a ton of recorded material. So we have other people out there, the way they write the song is they'll get the guitar out and then they'll play along, and they're awesome finger picking and stuff. So people at the open mics, they're finger picking and they write the songs that way. There's been situations where I've written songs and then I had to learn it because I never messed around with it on guitar, or I never really. Yeah, I'll have to go back and learn the songs that I recorded.
Interesting. That's a cool process. There was a band that I was playing with before we were playing together, and I actually got with them. They had already got the album put together, so I was working with them for the release, and you know, so I heard the songs, you know, we played it, and then like a year later or so, I was at his house, and he said, "Hey, check these songs out." I was like, "Okay, let me hear them." And then they were like the original songs the original versions of the songs that didn't end up becoming the song. And I'm like, holy cow, why didn't you use that version? I like that one. You know, me, I was like, I like that one better. I was like, well, you know, once we went through, we're like, well, that's not, it was just like we tweaked this and that, and we ended up kind of changing the almost like the genre of the song, almost in a sense. You know, it was like very like grungy rock, like heavy, and then it came kind of more poppy, more pop rock. And I was like, man, I was digging the grunge, man, because I can really dive into that with the drums. But yeah, it's really neat to see the whole process and the way you talked about it. You know, it's kind of funny you say that, because there's times when I'm thinking I have like a melody that comes up in my head and I'll record it, and I, you know, I don't play piano or stuff. I kind of hit a key here, like, oh, okay, that seems to be the key. But I've got a couple of stuff, like maybe we can collaborate on something. But I was like, oh, this is what I was thinking. I was like, man, you know, I need someone who knows how to play like the piano. I was like, hey, I wanted to sound funky, you know, play some funky stuff. But it's, and like I said, dude, your stuff is incredible. So I mean,
I appreciate it, man. I appreciate it.
So speaking of the process of one of the on your new album, so we'll just see if you can kind of one of the songs you worked on, maybe do a little performance right now for one of your songs, man. What do you think?
Yeah, absolutely.
Cool. So let's go ahead and get that set up, man. And Scott has acoustic guitar there. We're gonna give the stage to Mr. BENCJONES. So what's the song called?
So I thought about it. There's, I got a couple of singles off the album, Purple Coats and My Love. But I thought this one would be kind of a cool quarantine-based song.
Cool.
Crying.
Okay.
Which the theme of Crying is basically two people being separated, but then, but they still love each other, and but there's a hope that one day they'll get back together.
Yeah, that's the hope right now too. So cool, man. Well, let's enjoy. This is Crying by BENCJONES.
It went down at the edge of town when our lives got turned around. We were young and hard, but our hearts got torn apart. But the fire keeps burning, no matter where we go. Oh, and the crying and hurting will never stop the show. Oh, one day we'll find it together, a place that we'll call home. And until that day arrives, we'll try to survive and keep our love alive to grow. We'll stare at the stars, heal up our scars, listen to the radio. I found out on the edge of town that my love ain't gonna be around. That's the day almost died. That's the day I was horrified. But the fire keeps burning, no matter where we go. Oh, and the crying and hurting will never stop the show. Oh, one day we'll find it together, place that we'll call home. And until that day arrives, we'll try to survive and keep our love alive to grow. We'll stare at the stars, heal up our scars, listen to the radio. Sometimes it's hard not to cry. So I'm crying. Oh, I'm crying, crying, crying. Oh, oh, oh. Got me crying, crying. Ooh, yeah, yeah.
Dude. Man, that was awesome, dude. Man, I was just
Thank you.
I had my phone, waving my phone across dude.
Putting the light up.
Yeah. Man, that was
you guys can check that out. There's on YouTube or streaming all over the place. Vince Jones crying, and you get the full band.
Yeah,
So
dude, that was insane good, man. That was you did a little bit there that I didn't hear the last time you played it, man. Like, ooh, like that little high yeah.
That's on the album.
Yeah, that's good, man. That's good.
Try to do more like the album.
So, man, I was like just chilling here, enjoying that. That was good. So, a while back, I would say we were talking about this before going on live. The last time I think you came over to the house and we kind of rehearsed for the new album, but we got together, got a text and was like, hey, I want to put a music video together. I'm like, music video, cool, yeah, I'm down for that. And so got together with BENCJONES and bass player Sosa and
Sosa,
and then
and my friend George Irwin.
George, yeah.
He played the station manager.
Yeah.
And then we shot it over at Alpha Omega Studios. So thank you to Ty, and then Marcella Suber shot it.
That was fun day. So I'm gonna show the people the music video here. It's really short. It's not long. So just kind of it's a fun music video.
It tells a story.
Nothing happened. Got no
That's such a fun video to be a part of, man. I hope
Dude,
you,
we had
those that are
so
watching,
much
hope you
fun that
enjoyed
day.
it. Yeah.
Yeah.
That that was like my first official music video I was a part of, and it was really cool. But the whole
Yeah, it blows me away. I'm surprised you're not in more music videos. But
I gotta make that was my debut. No,
your
man.
debut. No, you did a good job.
Yeah, it was a ton of fun, man. But the whole people watch, like, I think that's about, you said, like, under about 3 minutes or so of music video. But man, it didn't take us 3 minutes to shoot. It took I forget. We were there for maybe 2 hours or 3. I don't even remember.
We were there for a couple of
hours.
Yeah,
but the whole process behind putting a music video together. Now, we're obviously much lower budget than like a lot of these, music stars, superstar. I got a cool purple shirt out of it. That was cool.
Yeah, everybody got a free
shirt. But the whole process behind putting a music video together, and as I was there being a part of it, I was kind of watching, and you're just like, your mind was just like, boom, boom, and I'm like, man, how did you put all this together, man? I'm like for me, I would have been like, okay, I have a sheet, here's a scene 1, scene 2, just because I'm working with video and just like, I guess, just very anal about stuff like that. But I'm like,
storyboarding is actually a really good idea.
But man, you just had it like in your mind. But walk us through your whole like putting that together, man. That was, maybe you don't have to maybe go too far deep into it, but maybe a little a paraphrased version of how you came about putting that video together.
Well, Claudio, it's not my first rodeo when it comes to music videos or videos in general. For those who don't know, when I was in college, I was a radio television film major.
Cool.
So the idea was to work in the business, and so I've always had that creative energy. And with this particular music video, and so for those who don't know, I love TCU. However, the radio station, and I don't know what I did to piss off Jeff Craig, the station manager over there, but I did. I asked too many times for him to play my stuff on the local lunch or whatever it was, but I called him up like, hey man, can you? Because I'm trying to get my music out there. Can you play my music? He was like, yeah, I'll do it. Well, then weeks went by and it hadn't been played, and some of the other bands were being played multiple times, and I'm like, oh, okay, call him back up. Hey man, can you play my song? And then it got to the point where he was just like, I called up. He was just like, yeah, we'll see what we can do. I was like, okay, that doesn't sound good. And then the final straw, I think, what really pissed him off was on Instagram, where I went on there and I was like, play BENCJONES for once, and he deleted it.
Oh no.
So this song was like my revenge. I was like, all right, fine. I'm not going to get played on TCU's local lunch ever. Whatever. That's cool. But I'm going to write this song about my experience because, up to that point, I had worked with so many people. Can you hear me?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. You're good.
Okay, hold on. Sorry. Technical difficulties.
No, you're good.
The wire out there. I had worked with so many people that were so supportive of my music at that point. That I was just like, I don't know why TC was just like, screw that guy. So I wrote Purple Coats about how you said you're going to play the music and you never did. And then I was like, I'm going to put together a stupid music video to get the point across. So, I was like, we'll be interns at the radio station. And then at some point we'll take the radio station over and then set up our good instruments and we'll start playing. And originally I had the station manager just being trapped in the bathroom at the end and like I don't know, just upset that BENCJONES was being played. And George was like, dude, how about he likes the music? Like you get him on your side. And I was like, that's actually way more positive.
Yeah.
Instead of him like in the fetal, in the corner in the bathroom, like, no, which is kind of funny.
It is.
Him coming out, at first you think he's gonna, turn the music down or whatever, be mad, But then he turns it up.
Yeah.
And he starts rocking out. So I was like, that's a pretty positive way to end that whole scenario.
Well, no, but and I definitely think you got your you know your little vengeance of, you know, hey, I'm gonna turn this around, and you still did that, but at the same time, yeah, it's just brilliant, man. The whole
we turned it into
brilliant.
art. You know, we took a kind of a crummy situation, because that was one of my goals. So I was like, man, you know, I've you know, when you're from Fort Worth, you know about KTCU, and I feel like my music is like college rock stuff, you know, or you know, equivalent. You know, at least some of the songs are. So I was like, they're going to be the first ones to play my music.
Yeah.
And then the fact that they never did really bummed me out. I mean, obviously, I wrote a whole song and did a video about it. But yeah, I feel like that's kind of the best way to handle, you know, anger or whatever. Just, you know, put it into art, man.
That's
you know, luckily
totally
that I've done videos before, I knew exactly how to approach it. You know, we shot all the stuff with everybody first. So at the very end of the video, we're all in there jamming out. That was the first thing that we shot.
Yeah.
And then we shot all the Georgia stuff. And then we got him, because he's got, you know, he's got kids that are like toddlers and stuff. And then we shot our stuff at the end.
Yeah.
But man, we had so much fun that day. We were just laughing and just having a great time. I mean, it was a lot of fun.
And it's funny that you say that the sequence of refilming it, the sequence of actually recording it and filming it does not always ends up the way, you know, and we didn't have to worry too much about like continuity with stuff, because we were just within 2 hours. So, you know, it's like, oh, he's not wearing the shirt anymore. No, we had the shirts on the whole time, but shooting it, sequencing. But I love the whole idea of taking something, a situation that just like sucks, and turning it around into a positive, and putting it into a song, putting the format of a song, and then also putting it into an art form of a video. And you know, I think that's, if anyone's that's listening, you're thinking, you know, what, you know, turn it around, write a poem, you know, write a song, shoot a video, or something to take what you're going through and express it in a way, you know, that they may turn around and be a positive for it. And so it's speaking of like someone that's doing that right now, that maybe is having like, maybe right now they are writing songs, maybe right now they are writing poems, and they're thinking about, you know, I may pick up a guitar. I mean, dude, 6 weeks now. I was thinking the other day, 6 weeks, man, if I start, you know, I got a bass here and I kind of pick at it every once in a while, but if I would have dedicated at least an hour a day on that bass, imagine what I can do now 6 weeks compared to before. And I'm kind of like kicking myself like, man, why don't I do that? You know, I can probably start now and do it, but you know, someone who's right now thinking, has been writing, contemplating, you know, you can learn with chords, you know, it's easy to learn. I say it's easier to learn chords than to do picking and stuff. But someone that's out there maybe trying songwriting, what would be some tips you may have for someone who's like maybe getting started, thinking about, you know, maybe I'll venture out and be a musician or be a songwriter?
Yeah.
What are some like tips you would give them?
I would say, you know, the first thing that you want to do is just try, you know, and it could be like, for me, I come from a very musical family. You know, my dad, he played the trombone, so that's what I played in middle school. My mom played the piano, so I did piano lessons. So I think having like a little bit of like ability to play something, you know, I mean, yeah, like when I started playing the guitar, it was all about just trying to come up with like a chord, you know, like the G chord. Like, it's like, can I do the G chord and then switch it to the C chord? And just doing that was the challenge, but eventually you get it. So if you have like some rudimentary, whoever that word is,
yeah,
ability to play something, then you can start writing songs, and it can be about whatever.
Yeah.
It could be, you know, you got your love songs, whatever. A lot of relationship songs. That seems to be what a lot of people write about. That's like the majority of my songs.
They can connect to it too.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
But that's the first actually just trying. So yeah, so learn how to do some basic stuff on an instrument, and then once you have that, you can start writing songs. Or, a lot of kids want to get the garage band or the programs, put together beats and stuff like that.
Yeah.
You can do that as well. Music is related to poetry in some cases, so you can maybe try to do some poetry.
Cool.
You can make that transition too. So there's a lot of ways to get into it and to start writing songs.
Nice. Well, man, I'm looking at our time. I think we're getting ready to close out. But before we do, I asked,
how long is this show?
Oh man, whatever we want it to be. We can be here for 3 hours. I don't know who's gonna watch for 3 hours, but but no.
Joe Rogan,
yeah.
Alex Jones,
3 hour long,
4 hours and 50 minutes.
And then people and
drunk and high,
and there's people that watch it too. And it's like, which I've watched some of this stuff. I was like, man, it was like that's where they get their viewership. But no, I mean those are some great tips though. It's like for me, being a drummer, it's not like an instrument that uses keys per se, like on a piano, chords and stuff. It's more rhythmic. But at the same time, when I play, there's sometimes I'll start doing stuff and I'm like, ooh, I like this little pattern. And sometimes I'll start putting a pattern together, and then I'll start thinking of like maybe lyrics to that pattern. Or like you did in the beginning, I'll start melody, like record a melody on my phone. And it's like, and just doing it that way. So I think that the key you said is just try it, just do it, and take that step, that leap. And I think that's like many musicians start off is with the leap at first, and like, yeah, maybe I'll try.
And the song, listen, I mean, the songs that you're going to write at the beginning, they're not going to be good. Let's just be honest. If I went back and looked at some of my old songs, they're horrible. They're horrid. Especially my lyrics. I mean, I've always struggled with lyrics, man, but if you just keep going, you'll get better.
Yeah.
And work with people. Try to go out there, try to meet people, do the open mics. Make connections with people out there, and that's going to help you also. And that's going to, when you see people performing and you just give you ideas, and there's inspiration everywhere.
Yes,
that you're going to find, from letdowns to let ups.
Yeah.
So I mean, there's just so much out there that you can write about.
I think you
will.
I think you said like one of the other tips there is influences. And some you have your influences and stuff. I mean, I have these drummers that I've listened to in bands, and some of them, people I share like, what band do you like, and I share with them, and they're like, oh, who's that? It's like, it's because of the drummer. I just listen to it. It's a fusion jazz type of band, and that drummer was just like one of the first guys I listened to and try to emulate. And then you get older, and you're like, then you get to the point you say, I cannot play like him. I'm not gonna be him. And so then once you come to that realization, they're like, and you're like, I'm good with that. I'm okay that I'm not gonna be him. But, I'm gonna be me. But I've so many different bands that I listen to because of the drummers, and they've influenced on the way that I play and the approach that I take to playing my instrument. And so whatever anyone you're listening, whatever you're doing, you'll have influences, and then just kind of find your own. I think it's good to find your voice in your own way, and I think, dude, you have definitely found that. When I hear your stuff, man, you have found your voice, man. Your stuff is just amazing. It's I love it.
Thank you so much.
I love it, dude.
I really do appreciate it, and I do my music. Number one, I do it for me. I mean, that's, but it's so awesome that there's people out there that also hear the music and go, man, that's freaking awesome, and appreciate it. So it's really cool.
Yeah, that's great. So speaking of influences, maybe what's a band, or let's do an artist or band that may have influenced you, growing up, or even more current. That might put you on the spot on that.
I mean, there's so many bands that have influenced me. Usually people compare my style of music, and And I've really tried to make it as broad as possible to where I'm not like pigeonholed or anything. But all the bands they mentioned were bands that I'm like, yeah, I like them. So they were saying, like he sounds like Lenny Kravitz. I'm like, yeah, I like Lenny Kravitz. He has some dope stuff. He's like, they sound like the Black Keys. I'm like, yeah, I like the Black Keys. Yeah, a little bit of White. I'm like, yeah, White Stripes got some cool stuff. Um, so like Beck, I don't know. I guess because of the variety that I bring.
Yeah.
And I love Beck.
Cool.
I don't think he's like maybe sold 2 albums with over 1 million records.
Wow.
He's so influential, man. It's like, he's freaking awesome.
Cool.
Yeah. So I would, those bands. I mean, really, in the end, I like to think of like all of the 20th century rock stuff as like I can pick stuff out. It's like, oh, this is like 1960s like London swing. All right, let me put that into this song. It's like, okay, this is like Delta blues. Okay, I'll put that on this song, and just to try to mix things up.
Yeah, that's cool. How about if you had to pick like a song, one song that was like, oh man, this song, I can't live without this song. Besides your songs.
This would be the easy answer. Well, clearly,
Crying.
Just One Gun. Can't live without that one. Man, songs that I go to, it's weird because I go through stages where one song will be like, I'll listen to it a lot and then it'll go away, and then I'll obsess about another song for a little while. I don't think there's really been a consistent like song throughout my years. I'm just like, that's the one right there that just I can't live without that one.
Cool. No, I like that. I think I'm kind of the same way. I'll stick with a song that like my wife's like, you still listening to that song? I just like I'm on it right now. I just can't get away from the song. It's just I'm like locked into it right now. So that's funny you say that. Kind of do the same thing. Okay.
It's weird. Like, yeah, you go through like little stages where you're just like, I like that, and then you're like, I like it less.
Yeah.
And then you don't like it that much, and then you move on to something else.
Yeah, that's too funny. So moving away from music a little bit here, how about is there a book, maybe an author, someone that you something that's maybe influenced you on the literature aspect?
Well, I'm like Trump. I don't read.
I read magazines.
Most of the books that I read are like nonfiction, like geography,
yeah,
social studies, type stuff.
That's funny.
Books that I've read have been like, The Hobbit.
Cool.
That was a cool book.
Cool. Yeah.
I don't know if it influenced me with any music.
Oh, just enjoy
or anything like that. But
fantasy books, maybe fantasy stuff. And then I we talked about this too. Like, so is there any movie favorites?
Movie favorites. I like science fiction stuff, crime dramas, documentaries. I like a lot of stuff. As far as standouts, I mean, it's probably like the American Film Institute Top 100.
That's cool. Yeah. Yeah.
There's a lot of really good ones on there.
Yeah, I think you're safe with just picking one. Like, that'd be a kind of cool thing to do over the next 100 days. Watch the top 100. That'd be interesting.
Just go through them, Citizen Kane, and then just go from there.
That's cool. Awesome, dude. Well, dude, we are we're gonna wrap up here, but I'm gonna ask you to close out the show with a song. But before we do that, I'm gonna just thank the viewers, all 2 viewers right now. I'm just kidding. People who watched live and who are watching in replay, thanks so much for stopping by and watching another episode of Creators Lounge. And I want to thank my sponsors. I actually don't have any sponsors, so I say that as a joke.
You want to say that?
I just wanted to say that, just like as a joke. It's like I want to thank my many sponsors, which I don't have any.
Do you have any merch?
Merch. I have it on my website. I have some couple shirts that I design on. That I have on my website. But not really not connected to the show. I probably need to at some make a ball cap or something like that. But if those of you who are watching, you can follow me on Instagram at Claudio Zavala Jr., Facebook, Twitter. I'm at the same place. And look me up on YouTube. Obviously, here on YouTube. Check out my website. I am Claudius.com. And I'm going to actually ask BENCJONES to close out the show with one more song. But before you do the song, baby, let us know how people can get a hold of you.
Yeah, absolutely. You guys can go to BENCJONESmusic.com for my official website. And then if you want to follow me on social media, at BENCJONESmusic, Facebook, Twitter, everywhere.
Awesome.
Twitch, Tumblr. Although I've never done a Twitch before, but apparently I'm on there.
Yeah, cool. Well, man, what song are you going to sing?
I was going to just close out with Just One Gun. This is the opening song on the album from last year. Title, which is the same, Just One Gun. And it's got like kind of the most play.
Cool. Cool.
Everybody seems to really like it. So.
Well, awesome. Well, here we go. This is Just One Gun by BENCJONES. Thank you all for watching. He's going to close it out with one last song here. All right. Take it away, my friend.
On a body that's in a smile that slaps your face. If you stare in her eyes for a little while, you'll be in outer space. She's so sweet, but she's 17 and she likes to raise that hair. Cops on my trail, cause they don't think your mama's taking things to wear. Just one gun would have been enough, but instead I had to fail. Sitting another down in the county jail. Our champagne and my lover's arms won't be waiting in the soul. But I believe that the guitar music, oh, it can soothe the soul.